Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a beautiful 2nd of April, 2025. Coming up this episode of the Crusty Podcast, episode 358, Carney Chaos, Poilievre under fire, Tariff Day, and more. Oh my God, the drama is just encapsulating all of us. Viewer discretion is advised because I will swear, smoke cigarettes, make funny faces, make fun of leaders, and just make fun of people this episode. See you in a bit.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me.
Yes, sir.
There is no racial bigotry here. Here you are all equally worthless.
From Western Canada, this is the Crusty Canuck Podcast, a Canadian veteran's point of view on political, social, economic issues and life. Here's Crusty.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the episode 358, the Crusty Canuck Podcast. I'm your host, Crusty Canuck. This episode is brought to you in part by and supported by Veterans for Freedom Network. That's right, Stand 2, Veterans for Freedom. And coming soon, Veterans for Freedom TV. That's right, everybody. That's coming soon. Anyway, if you like and hear you see, click like, subscribe, share this podcast, all your social media platforms. Do not be shy, ladies and gentlemen. Give me a thumbs up, give me comments. And if you see this being premiered, just let me know where you're writing from, where you're watching from, because I'm getting a little more of a global effect here, and I just want to get an idea where everyone's writing from. So if you can do that, that'd be really helpful. Thank you very much. So this episode 358, Carney Chaos, Poilievre under fire, Tariff Day, oh my, and plus more information. So I'll start with the plus more right now. Now, Rachel Gilmore, the big activist slash pseudo journalist, the individual that thinks of herself as some kind of writer. Okay. I've only read a few of her articles when she started making waves, and I guess she just got fired from CTV. She did like one episode. She was supposed to be hired by CTV as the fact checker, and I don't think CTV really understood that she's not really a fact checker. She's an activist. Now, apparently, you can look her up on Twitter. You can look her up on other social media platforms, and she'll give you a big, big sigh. Poor me, poor me. See, that's what happens when you lie to people, ladies and gentlemen. You get called out in your bullshit. Now, I, for one, I don't buy this misogyny BS. I don't buy this sexist BS. I just buy people are waking up to piss poor journalism and piss poor broadcasting. So I don't feel bad for Ms. Gilmore whatsoever. Maybe she actually took some proper training and became a proper journalist. I said to her on Twitter too, it was just too good to resist, because I remember what she said about James Topp. He's an ex-soldier that actually marched across Canada, I think with a 50-pound pack, in the name of freedom for this country. And she had the audacity of calling him a white supremacist. Okay. And she also had the audacity of telling families to disenfranchise each other over the whole vaccination issue. Okay. The whole jibby jab thing back during the pandemic. So if any journalist, any writer, or anybody that's on television is telling you how to treat your family, unless you got a family full of shitheads, wankers or morons, whatever, but to tell you to disenfranchise your family, keep your distance from your family, because they didn't get the old jibby jab on time and in a constructive manner, then can you really trust that person's point of view on anything? Honestly, think about that. Really. So personally, I really don't care what happens to Rachel Gilmore or any of the activists out there that contemplate how politics should run when they've never stepped foot in any kind of major office, or they've never held any kind of leadership position. Okay. I told her basically on Twitter to do the Johnny LaRue, go get a microphone and a camera and talk to people. Hey, there's an idea. What do you know? Good idea. Fairies are everywhere today. And any aspiring person that looks up to somebody like her for insight and tidbits and info, now snap out of it. Go elsewhere. Do your own research. Anyway, I'm just going to leave that alone, because I'm not going to sit and contemplate to somebody I have no desire meeting or having a conversation with ever in my lifetime, right? So we'll leave it at that. That's the old plus more. But carrying on with Mr. Carney. Now, he just recently said in an interview, and I've got something queued up here from Brian Lilly from the Toronto Sun, okay, how he is not going to repeal C-69 if he gets in, okay? Like, I'm shaking my head here of the pure idiocy when they want to stand up for Canada, they want to stand up for what's right in this country. They want to do the right thing. They want to get our economy up and running. They want to stand up against the big bad orange man down in the south. I'll get to him shortly. But in the same sense, they don't want to repeal the ability that's going to move our resources to places in a timely and economical manner. They don't. Okay. Now I'll just cue this up here for you, ladies and gentlemen, and you decide. As I always say, you guys decide. Okay. Because every time we turn on the tube, open up a paper, or go online here to find some kind of noise to see what's going on in the world of our politics, okay, we are constantly stuck with this bullshit when it comes to what's going to happen with our resources. Too many people are sitting on the left, on the right, but not enough freaking action. So, like I say, ladies and gentlemen, I'll keep the captions open up here for you so you can listen at your leisure, or don't listen at all, but get to it, and we'll go from there. So please observe.
He's happy to just keep it plodding along. Hi, I'm Brian Lilly, political columnist with the Toronto Sun. One of the things that we've all been talking about since Donald Trump started his tariff threats is how do we adjust Canada's economy? How do we find new trading routes, new trading partners, new ways to get our products to markets? Most sensible people have been talking about the need to build new pipelines to Tidewater on the BC coast, or even people are now talking again about shipping oil via pipeline to the Arctic coast and exporting it that way. And of course, an east-west pipeline, or perhaps better said, a west to east pipeline to get Canadian oil to Canadian markets in Ontario, in Quebec, in the Maritimes, not only to service those markets, but also to export. Well, what's the answer to that? You've got to repeal Bill C-69. You've got to embrace the idea of pipelines. Now, Mark Carney's talked about trade diversification and making Canada an energy superpower, but he always says in conventional and in clean energy. We already are a superpower in conventional energy. He wants to improve what we're doing on clean energy, on windmills, on solar, on things that we can't really export. So what about pipelines? What about a national infrastructure corridor for energy? That's what Pierre Poilievre has been talking about. Now, Carney's talked about something similar, a national infrastructure corridor of sorts, but he never mentions pipelines. While speaking in St. John's, Newfoundland, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre was blunt. If he's elected Prime Minister, Bill C-69, known as the No More Pipelines Bill, is going to be scrapped. It's going away. The Supreme Court has already said it's unconstitutional. The Liberals are just trying to hang on to it in defiance of the court. But Pierre Poilievre says it will be done under his watch.
1, repeal the No New Pipelines law and the tanker ban so that we can ship our resources to non-American markets. I voted against C-69. I have always been against C-69. I've said I will repeal C-69, the No New Pipelines liberal law, within 60 days of becoming Prime Minister. Mark Carney supported C-69, and he had a week after he became leader to recall Parliament to repeal it, as I demanded, but he did not. So their position is clear.
Well, a short time later, speaking in Winnipeg, talking about the need to diversify trade again, to build up our economy, to build up good jobs, Mark Carney was asked about Bill C-69, and he was clear. It's not going anywhere, despite the court saying it's unconstitutional.
How do you reconcile keeping Bill C-69 with your plans to build infrastructure in Canada? Do you...
Now listen carefully to his answer, ladies and gentlemen. Right? It's like a Kamala word salad. It's like a Trudeau word salad. It's like a Chrystia Freeland word salad. God, they must have a Salem lettuce.
Plan to repeal Bill C-69?
We do not plan to repeal Bill C-69, to answer your question directly. What we have said and made very clear 10 days ago, formally with the First Minister's meeting, is that we will move for projects of national interest to remove duplication in terms of environmental assessments and other approvals. And we will follow, as the federal government, the principle of one project, one approval to move forward from that.
If this law remains in place, building pipelines becomes incredibly difficult. And that was the entire point. the Trudeau Liberals, under the guidance of people like Jerry Butts, now an advisor to Mark Carney, or people like Stephen Guilbeault, the environment minister, now a cabinet minister for Mark Carney, they did not want more energy production going on. They want to keep it in the ground. And in fact, Pierre Poilievre even quoted Mark Carney expressing his keep it in the ground mentality.
And by the way, on that, let me be clear. When I say he has a keep it in the ground policy, that is not my characterization of his position. I'm going to quote him verbatim. This is not Justin Trudeau or Stephen Guilbeault. This is Mark Carney. Maybe as much as half of oil reserves, proven oil reserves, need to stay in the ground. You hear that? He wants to keep it in the ground, and that includes under the ocean floor. That means that he will not allow any offshore development here in Newfoundland. To keep it in the ground, he would have to block any further projects from going ahead. That means that our single biggest and most valuable resource would not be available to us while the Americans unleash massive production increases, and while Mr. Carney's own company profits off petroleum investments outside of Canada. He will shut down competition to his company here in this country. We need to bring dollars and jobs home so that we can be strong enough to stand up to Donald Trump.
Oil and natural gas are Canada's biggest trump card when it comes to diversifying our economy, but we've got to do something more than sell it to the Americans at a discount. We've got to be using it ourselves to displace imports from the United States, imports from Russia, imports from Saudi Arabia. We should be using our own product here in this country, and we should also be exporting it around the world. That's what Poilievre is promising to do. In fact, while speaking to energy workers in St. John's, he said he would approve Newfoundland and Labrador's government's proposal to double capacity. Not what the Liberals are trying to do, which is reduce capacity. He wants to double their production capacity. And he said he would approve an export liquefaction platform that would ship natural gas to Europe to displace Russian natural gas that is helping fund the war against Ukraine. Isn't that what we should all be working towards? Well, one side is working towards that. The other side has a keep it in the ground mentality. That will only keep us poorer, and it will not help in fighting back against any of the economic impact of what Donald Trump is doing south of the border. Let me know what you think. Drop a comment down below. Share this on social media. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel.
That was Brian Lilly's. I'm sorry, turn the mic off there. All right, and it's self-explanatory. And I got an interesting story. I'll add this link to my description too. My friends at Northern Perspective, Ryan and Tanya, did a pretty good story today on some of the dealings that Mr. Carney has outside of Canada, of course, to the tune of colonial pipelines. Seems ironic, eh? But I say I'll leave a link to that video in my description, and you, my wonderful audience, you can decide from there. It's just just a load of crap, right? He doesn't want to repeal anything. He wants to make us money, and I guess we can do it through solar and through wind and through pixie dust and fairy farts and shark biscuits. You know, that's just the way it is, right? Oh my God, we're in for a real shit show, ladies and gentlemen. Hold on to your ankles. Here it comes.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
And you're back, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 358, Carney Chaos, Poilievre under fire, and Tariff Day, of course. And I already did the more parts. I'm not going to worry about that windbag that we all talked about earlier. Anyhow, I'm your host, Crusty Canuck. Ladies and gentlemen, if you like and hear what you see, click like, subscribe, share this podcast all over your social media platforms. Do not be shy. Give me a thumbs up. Give me a comment. Let me know where you're writing from. All that good stuff. If you feel like donating, links are in the description there too. And I do my live premiere. I put like a goal up there. So if you want to donate, please donate. Every little bit helps. So anyway, carrying on with this episode. More with the whole Poilievre under fire too. Now, Poilievre said the other day, or I think yesterday, something about biological clocks. Now, I'm just going to play a little tidbit there. And I'm going to give you a summary of everything that I've read on Twitter. The Twitter feed just lit right up. Oh my God. All these fourth wave feminists coming out of the woodwork and all these ladies that are just so against when you talk about their bodies. And yet, here's something for you. Not every man that I know personally is going to worry about what a woman does with her body. As long as she's healthy, looks after herself, looks after what's important, i.e., her family, if she has a family, or if she has no kids, just looks after things in general. Okay. But I'm going to ponder this though. During the pandemic, how many people, especially the left leaners who were female, were always telling us to hurry up and get this jab? You must get this. You must do that. You have to do this. I just mentioned one earlier too. Now, I'm not going to tell her what to do with her body. I could give two shits what Rachel Gilmore does with herself. I could give two shits what half of these politicians do with themselves. Okay. But do you remember the emphasis on the whole my body, my choice prior to the pandemic when it came to anything about abortion? Now, personally, I disagree with abortions. I do, for some very valid reasons. But I'm not going to tell you, my female audience, what to do with your body. I'm not. You've seen me numerous times in this episode smoke cigarettes. The honorable thing would say, Crusty, you should quit smoking. Yes, I know I should quit smoking. I know. But that's one of the few vices I have left. Okay. I don't drink like I used to. Thank God for that. If there is a God in heaven, maybe I should thank the gods for that one. But needless to say, I don't drink like I used to. Okay. I need to get back into proper shape again and get my definition back with push-ups, bit of crunches, but I need to get that back. That's just for my personal goal. Now, you're going to tell me how to do it or when I should do it, or where I should put in my body to make it happen? Well, no, of course not, because that'd be rude. And ladies, I'm not going to tell you what to do with your bodies. I'm not. Okay. You are able enough, you're sane enough, and you are capable enough to make a good, sound decision for yourself. Okay. But when it comes to that issue, I don't really recall any conservative minister standing in the House of Parliament or on any campaign in the past 10 years saying, you must not do this. I forbid this. Right? I don't recall that because abortions have been legal in Canada since 1988. And that's national. That's just not here or in this city or over there in this province or over there in that province or here in this town or that town. That's Canada-wide. So every time a politician mentions something about birthing or pregnancy or biological clock, there is always an abundance of a handful of people that get their bodies in a twist. And oh my God, how dare you say that? When a lot of you individuals supported the jibby jabs, when you supported people being fired over it, chastised, canceled, humiliated because they wouldn't get a couple of ding-dings here and there. But, don't we dare talk about this because, your body, your choice, right? What about mine? Say if I wasn't married, okay? And say if I was attached to somebody for maybe 6 months, maybe a year. She gets pregnant. Oh my God. Because, I've been gainfully employed. I have the means to support a child, right? And let's say I turn around and I was building a nursery and getting ready for the new arrival to our new little family. And let's say my significant other, let's say she decided within 6 months of that pregnancy, she goes and terminates it. See, there's an ethical dilemma right there and a moral dilemma and moral obligations too. Now, I'm not going to tell my significant other what to do with her body. But if you're going to do something like that when you're with somebody and you're preparing for the special day, the birth, and someone goes and does that to you, there's more to think about than your personal choices. You know what I mean? That's an ethic thing. So I'm just going to leave it at that because once again, ladies, I am not telling you what to do with your bodies. You go ahead and do what you want to do. You can have kids or you cannot have kids. That's your choice. Okay. But it's also some understanding towards your partners too. They should have a say in it as well. You know what I mean? Because it's his seed that goes into you. We know basic biology and how things work. And he has to be informed just as much as you are informed, right? That's just my personal belief, right? So I'm going to play this clip. It's only a short, of course, Poilievre saying what he had to say. And of course, Jagmeet Singh and his virtuoso bullshit weighing in. And I'll come back to you about that too. It's like, really, it's just, there's so many people that are willing just to cringe and flinch at something they disagree with because, oh, he's such a bad man. Oh, he's so much like Trump. But he's not being like Trump. He's being realistic. Now, listen to what he has to say, though, about this, okay? Really listen to what he has to say about this. And you can sit there all day and weigh the pros and cons, but it's just a matter of listening and understanding. It's called dialogue and context. So this is what he said in St. John's, Newfoundland on the 31st of March, okay? And this is from Global News, other, government handout enjoyers.
36-year-old couple whose biological clock is running out faster than they can afford to buy a home and have kids.
I don't think any woman wants to hear Pierre Poilievre talking about their body, period. Period. Don't do it.
We will not forget that young 36-year-old couple whose biological clock is running out faster than they can afford to buy a home and have kids.
I don't think any woman wants to hear Pierre Poilievre talking about their body, period. Period. Don't do it.
Okay, I had to play it twice, ladies and gentlemen, just to get the point across, okay? Sure. I had to play that twice because it just seemed really, really ridiculous and redundant, okay? It seemed redundant because he did not say, ladies, hurry up and get pregnant. Ladies, hurry up and start copulating and start multiplying. He wasn't giving you the Book of Mormon there, okay? He was telling what his opinion is when it comes to buying a house. The contrast of people are getting older. There are people out there that want to buy a home, that want to raise a family, okay? But if they can't afford a house or a proper place to live to raise a little one or two little ones or three little ones, depending on how much they want to have, okay, it seems redundant to try to pack yourself up in a one-bedroom apartment, okay, and have a child. Now, a lot of people were raised in one-bedroom, two-bedroom apartments, and that's fine, okay? But the idea of having a family is being able to have a home to raise it in. The house I live in, my wife and I could have a family. But that's another story. I don't feel like sharing that with you right now. Okay? And we have a couple of bedrooms that we could use if we were to raise children. There's a good yard outside. And we were very, very fortunate to receive this house from an inside information, to get some inside information on it and to be able to put a down payment on and live the way we live. Okay? There's a lot of people out there in their mid-20s and mid-30s that are together, married couples, common law couples. Doesn't matter if they're straight, doesn't matter if they're gay, they want to have a family. But they cannot afford a home to get to that step. Okay? And his reference to biological clocks was the older a woman gets, the more complicated it is to have a child. Right? It's not telling you what to do with your bodies, ladies. So all the lefty women out there that have engaged me personally, especially on Twitter and especially on here and every other social media platform, he's not telling you what to do. He's not telling you specifically what to do. Time's running out. We got to do something about this housing issue. And the plan that Mr. Carney has for the housing issue, oh, we're going to have prefab homes just like in World War II. Great. Who's paying for it? Where's the money coming from to pay for it? Where's the money coming from to pay these workers to set up these prefab homes like they did in World War II, like the wartime housing, right? Have you ever seen some of the prices of those houses too? Have you seen some of the prices? So it's not necessarily having the prefab homes brought to you by your government, eh? More government housing, eh? Government promises. Goes up there with UBI and other fucking monstrosities. Nothing wrong with doing the prefab thing. But how about we have a program where you cut back on all taxes so people can buy a prefab home? Cut back on all the land deeds and cut back on all the red tape. Now, that's also a municipal issue and a provincial issue too. So start pushing that button around, right? A lot of this is just smoke and mirrors and bells and whistles, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, Mr. Poilievre didn't tell you to start breeding or start having babies. but he was making reference to time and how it should be fair for any Canadian couple, or any Canadian for that matter, to have a home and raise a family in at his or her leisure. Pretty simple, eh?
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
And you're back, ladies and gentlemen, episode 358 of the Crusty Canuck podcast, Carney Chaos. Poilievre under fire and Tariff Day. Happy Tariff Day. So, news today, too. Donald Trump announced to the world how many tariffs he's going to put on all the countries they trade with the U.S., or all countries that he trades with, et cetera, et cetera. So, here's my summary. I'm going to be brief about this because my concentration is on the welfare of Canadians. Now, in a way, he was right to put a firecracker up the ass of our leadership to get things going. I don't agree with the 51st state BS. I don't. I really don't. Because that flag behind me there, I fought under that one. I didn't fight under the Stars and Stripes. Fought alongside guys with the Stars and Stripes. Right? Did some missions together. I also did some missions with Dutch and some Brits. You know? So I'm kind of universal, but my home and my heart is Canada. Always will be. Those individuals that are cringing and flinching because, oh, Donald Trump said some bad things and we have to stop the bad man, the orange man, especially the boomers. Now, I'm not trying to disenfranchise my parents, nor am I trying to disenfranchise my parents' friends. Okay. They're part of the boomer generation. But all these individuals that have your home paid off, have your retirement set up, ready to go, ready to rock and roll. Some of you are living a very, very good retirement right now. I'm still paying off my house. Okay. I'm still paying off my home. And if you vote for a guy like Blarney Carney, Chaos Carney, Commie Carney, WEF Carney, Mr. Colonial Pipeline Carney, okay, you're not doing me a favor. You're not. And other Canadians that are paying a mortgage at a fixed rate. You're not. So if you think this man is going to save you from the terrible Pierre Poilievre or the insecure Jagmeet Singh, guess again. Right? Guess again. He's only providing you breads and circuses. That's it. He doesn't give two shits about this country because, one, he would repeal C-69, and two, he would cut a lot of red tape that the federal government has provided for us since the better part of 2015. But you don't want to see that, right? Because you think conservatives are just like Americans. Well, they're not, because I work with conservatives. They're not anything like Republicans or Democrats. Okay? They want Canada to succeed, just like I do. I want you all to succeed. But we can't do it when you have overwatchers and overseers and bureaucrats and red tape. Right? We can't do it that way anymore. So we got to get it for change. So when it comes to thinking about voting, and screw the Echoes polls, screw this brand new poll here, this brand new poll there. Look at the rallies that Pierre's had compared to Carney's rallies. My buddy Frank Vaughn there displayed pictures where Carney was at a pub, which maybe had a capacity of maybe 60 people. And one of Poilievre's rallies had 3,500 people. And you see the contrast? Right? Can you see that? So don't be so quick to jump down the polls and say, well, the polls say this, trust the science, trust the science, trust the science. Where have we heard that fucking before? Time to think. Time to think hard and start using the noggin. Save the heart for the country. Use the head for the people. You know what I mean? That's all I'm going to say about that, ladies and gentlemen. Anyhow, I've been Crusty Canuck on this beautiful 2nd of April, 2025. I wish good things for you all out there, ladies and gentlemen. Be calm, cool, collected. As I said, you know, this next month is going to be a really, really fucking dramatic one. So we better hold on tight. Don't cause any undue fights. Don't cause any undue pressure, but stand up where you should stand up. And we got to see more of that, especially through us common folk, us plebes. And if we do encounter someone running for election, give them the fucking tough questions. Don't worry if they're male or female. Give them the tough goddamn questions and make them talk. It's that simple. Right? Because they're supposed to represent your interests, not theirs. Well, like I enjoy saying, you know, not the party, not the person, but the constituents and the country always. Anyway, do your best. Help each other in these trying times. Be the light in this manufactured darkness, and don't take any more shit. Be good to yourselves and your loved ones. And like I always say, ladies and gentlemen, humanity and merit wins the day. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me. Yes, sir. There is no racial bigotry here. Here you are all equally welcome.
This has been another episode of the Crusty Canuck podcast. Stay sane and thank you for listening. From Western Canada, this is the Crusty Canuck podcast.
Well, smack my ass and call me Judy.